So it's been a while. It seems silly to say happy 2022 at this point because we're halfway through March when I'm filming this. But this is really my first video of 2022. So where am I? I am at an Airbnb. I decided to take myself away for the weekend and give myself a little weekend writing retreat as a treat. This weekend means a lot to me because it's a first for me and it's a turning point for me as well in my life. In the last couple of years, you know, all of us have experienced a huge life change with the pandemic. For me personally, my life has changed in several different ways because of several different things, not just the pandemic. And with the pandemic comes like the inability to do things that make me feel like me the most. So like being able to go to cafes and doing some writing, and even traveling, like being able to like buy a plane ticket and go see a new country or something. Like those are things that really make me feel like me. I just basically felt like my life was changing in all these major ways that like I couldn't control. And I was starting to feel like I was losing myself in some ways. In the last few months, I've been doing a lot of thinking and like realizing all of this, like realizing just how much my life has changed in the last couple of years. And realizing also that I've had to basically rebuild myself from scratch. It's felt like it's been a hard few months, especially in feeling like I was losing a sense of myself. I felt like I was also losing my independence, and that doesn't mean like necessarily being by myself. I've realized that my independence manifests as being able to do things without restrictions or without like all these external forces telling me that I can't do something, which I realize is a huge privilege. And also like not really writing. Like I'd write for a little bit here and then I'd fall out of it, and then I'd write for a little bit there and then fall out of it again, and I just like had no sense of consistency. Basically, I've realized that I need to take control of my life in the ways that I can. So like yes, I can book an Airbnb just a couple hours away and I can drive here and I can dedicate this time to writing. And also, I realized that I've never actually done a true writing retreat. Back in 2018 when I went to Norway, and I had a couple of videos where I was like writing and wandering in Norway and going on a writing retreat featuring Norway. And I can link those down below if you're interested. The difference between that trip and this trip is that trip, I was really going to Norway, and if I had the chance to write or work on my story, I was going to, but that wasn't the focus. But my goal is to write while I'm here, and so not having done a lot of writing the last couple of weeks, I did not feel prepared for this trip. I booked this trip like a week and a half ago, so it was rather impulsive, but at the same time I've been playing with the idea of doing something on my own for a while. And I want to say something that's really perfect about this Airbnb. It's an artsy little town. Like there's artist lofts, there's a contemporary art museum like I said, and even on this property there's artists in residence. And like this house is just so beautifully decorated in like beautiful colors. This place is gorgeous. I could not think of a better place to feel my creativity like awaken and to like try to harness that for good. This with me. This is just like my little travel pouch where I keep like books and notebooks so they don't get damaged being thrown around my bag and stuff. And like I said, didn't feel super prepared coming to this trip because I hadn't been working on anything in the last couple of weeks, so I didn't know what I was going to work on when I came here. So I brought all three of my writing notebooks. Hotel Story, which is like, oops, and all of these are from Barnes & Noble, by the way. Hotel Story, some illustrated birds, storm cloud, some illustrated flowers, and pitchfork. Blue and gold celestial situation. I didn't know what story I was going to work on, so I figured I'd give myself the choice. I think I'm going to set up shop and do a little bit of work before I head out to dinner. It's 4:30 p.m. and so I've got to, maybe I'll work for like a half hour or an hour, and then I'll go out and get some food and then come back and double down for the night. Also, my hair matches this couch, like. I don't know how well this is gonna zoom in. Oh, you can see it. Look at the kitty. I wonder if he's hunting. Oh, kitty. Come closer, come closer. Okay, so it's 7:30 p.m. Excuse the lighting. It's dark outside. All the lights are on. It's just a fairly dim room, but it's cozy dim, you know? So I just ate some dinner. I had chicken falafel flatbread. No, wait, I mixed that up. Falafel, you know, I had falafel and then I had a chicken fajita flatbread or something like that. But anyway, it was really good. I'm full now. I've made myself a cup of tea. This is actually red bean milk tea from South Korea. I just watched the second to last episode of Baking Impossible on Netflix. It's a great show. It's a fun show. It's a creative and like feel good kind of show. And so now I am going to get to work, picking up where I left off earlier this afternoon when I did my little 20-minute sprint. I was working on storm cloud actually. There was a video that I filmed, I think it came out in like the summer of 2020. A bunch of reasons why I've struggled to write lately, and one of those reasons specific to storm cloud was that I kind of lost my connection to my main character Race. Now in the last like week or so, or the last couple of days or something, I kind of stumbled upon a thing to have in common with her, and that's going to completely change Race's motivation in the story. She needs to kind of break away from her routine, from the lifestyle that she's been living for the last several weeks. Like for her, it's her entire life. For me, it's like the last few years. You've lived your life in this place and now you're ready to move on to the next thing, and I'm very familiar with that feeling. I saw how Race could be feeling that as well. And so that's kind of my angle going into the story now, is to explore her wants and needs and her goals and stuff from that perspective. Yeah, so that's my avenue now, and right now I'm just working on the outline. I'm calling it draft 11 because I'm so sick of the whole draft 10.1, 10.2. I knew this was gonna happen to me. I mean, it always happens every time I like am just getting into a project. I don't know if it's like I'm trying to dive into the deep end and suddenly I'm like overwhelmed with like all the things I need to do. You know, it could be like a lot of little changes. It could be just a few big changes. Whatever it is, it overwhelms me, you know. And I just feel silly. Like I feel like I shouldn't be letting this get me down. I feel like I should just do it. Like that's what I'm here for. If I leave this weekend and I haven't made any sort of progress on writing, I guess that's the other thing, is like my therapist, and I told her about this trip. I knew she would be really excited for me because we had been talking about like me doing something like this for myself. But she was telling me, when I was telling her that I was coming for writing, she was like, well, make sure you enjoy it, you have fun, you know. And so now I'm just remembering that. And when I initially was planning this trip, I was like, I need to make sure I do something. I want to use this to get back into writing since I haven't been writing. I want to use this to like make some kind of progress and to figure out my path forward, so that way when I come home from this trip, you know, like I have something to show for it, and also like I know what to do next. But now I'm just thinking, like, in light of what my therapist was saying, like I need to just have fun, you know, which is easier said than done. You know, it should be so easy to have fun, but at the same time it's like I put so much pressure on myself, and I'm so hard on myself about stuff like this. So my tea is probably drinkable now. And then the other thing is, like, I want to talk about this with you, but I don't want to give away things of my story. I can tell you this though. Something that I want to do with this story is just show my appreciation for like Earth and its beauty and her beauty, and just all the wonderful things that happen on Earth, you know, like nature and weather and, you know, animals and all that stuff. Like I want to be like really appreciative of that in my story, and I want that to show. And with that, I also want to highlight like different cultures and stuff like that. And so for a long time, Race and her mother and her family, like they live in Japan. And Race herself, she's grown up in Japan. And I myself, I grew up in Japan from when I was like 1 year old to 5 years old, and then again for a couple years later on in life. But the thing with that is I was so young when I lived in Japan that I didn't really appreciate the Japanese culture because I was just too young to be aware of anything really. Well, I got the chance to explore Japan on like field trips and stuff like that. I mainly lived on military bases, or even when I lived off base, like I was surrounded by like Americans and military families. So I just really personally did not have the chance to really inundate myself with Japanese culture and to like really get to know it and appreciate it. I did a little bit, but not as much as like Race does. So Race is like, she lives in this old Japanese village, and all of her neighbors are Japanese, but she herself is not. Her sisters are not. They're from somewhere else. My mom's side of the family is Guyanese. So there's that. And I grew up in Japan. So I've made her mother Guyanese instead, except that she moved to this Japanese village with Race and her sisters. And so again, bringing it back to like me and Race having things in common. And I don't want to make this like too self-insert, but then you think about like own voices, and you think about the phrase "write what you know," and it feels like tricky territory to write about a culture that's not your own. So that's the line that I'm walking right now, is trying to figure out how to do that gracefully while still being able to highlight and appreciate the culture that I kind of sort of grew up in a little bit. Yeah, so I don't know, it feels like tricky territory. So like one of the first early scenes in the book is like them having dinner, like making dinner and then sitting around and eating it while they're talking about something. And so all the foods initially like that they were eating were like Japanese foods, Japanese ingredients sourced from like various places around their village and like from their neighbors and stuff. And now I'm trying to find the balance between Japanese and like Caribbean food, and I've never heard of this combination. I'm trying to figure out in my mind if it could work, like if there's ways you can combine Japanese and Guyanese ingredients and like make them work in a way that doesn't seem like strange. And so that's what I'm thinking about right now. You know, I think I should call my mom about this, because my mom, obviously, like I lived in Japan with her as well, her and my dad. And my mom is Guyanese, so maybe she's a good person to talk to about this, because she was more aware of the culture than I was, because she was obviously older than me. So I think I should talk to my mom, and then she can help me figure this out. It just feels like such a weird thing. I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know how to talk about it. I don't know how to write about it. Hi, Moo Moo.
How you doing?
Good. Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Where you at? Home?
No, I'm at my Airbnb. Good morning. this up. I bought this yoga mat, which is like made for traveling and porting it around because it folds up and it only weighs like 2 pounds. So it's Saturday morning and it's my second and only full day here. I leave tomorrow, but today I want to go to, there's a contemporary art museum down the street, and then I'm going to come back here and I'll eat lunch when I get hungry. But other than that, the rest of the day is really dedicated to writing. Yesterday was definitely interesting. My mom said something. What did she say? She said, you can't conquer the whole world in a day. Leave yourself a challenge for tomorrow. And I was like, did you make that up? I like that. Yeah, so also she said, if you conquered the whole world today, you'd be bored tomorrow. And like, what fun is that? You'd be bored for the rest of your life. So that was a really nice way for her to phrase that, because I really like that, because it applies to so much in life. You don't have all the information right away, so you just can't do all the things right now. So you have to like just give yourself some grace and understand that it takes time to do things, you know. And even with writing, it's like, you know, you figure out some of the plot today, you figure out some more of the plot tomorrow, and through that you'll figure out some character development that's going to influence your ability to figure out the plot, you know, the next day. And, you know, like all these things are intertwined. All these things take time. So it's like, just have to give yourself some grace. And also, like I said, like I'm here to have fun. So if I leave here, maybe I was super productive, but if I was like just stressed out the whole time, like I'm not going to remember this weekend with that much fondness probably. So I need to chill out. Yeah, so I'm going to go get washed up, go get some breakfast, and hit up this museum. So it is 3:15. I still need to change my watch for daylight savings time. But gosh, you know that feeling where like you want to write but also you don't want to write, and it's like a really complicated mix of reasons why you may not want to write. You know, doubt, confusion, distraction, stress, anxiety, boredom, aimlessness. It's a longer list than than I realize apparently, and there's more things. I'm feeling that mix right now, and pressure. I don't know if I put that on the list, but that's definitely something, particularly from being here on a writing retreat. I am still so full for my breakfast this morning, like uncomfortably full still, and it's been like, I don't know, 5 hours since I ate. All right, I'm back. I did not go for a walk because the park was closed for the season, which is unfortunate. So I just basically recalculated and I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do? But anyway, so I ended up I went to a bookstore, walked around there for a little bit, and then I went and got a sandwich that I'm gonna eat later because I'm only just now starting to not be full after like what, 6 hours since I last ate. So I went to get a sandwich. I got some like healthy green juice and I got some peanut butter vanilla ice cream. Okay, so this is what I call getting my life together at the 11th hour. So I'm leaving tomorrow. You know, I was here for less than 48 hours. And that doesn't give me a lot of time to do anything really, especially to get any kind of significant amount of writing done. Like, let's move aside the whole significant amount of writing. Like, that's not helping anybody to make that kind of claim, let alone to set it as a goal. So I just kind of like, when I was in the bookstore, I saw a book by Brene Brown, something about the wilderness. And I just read like the first paragraph and skimmed over like the first couple of pages. And it basically was, she was just talking about like, when I sit down to write, you know, I have all this doubt and stuff. So I look into people who inspire me, and she listed like Oprah and Shonda Rhimes and like some other people. And she pretends that they're like kind of like championing her while she's writing. They cheer her on, but they also don't take a lot of her BS, like her bullshit. And so that just got me thinking on the drive home, like, boy, if I have done nothing else lately in my writing endeavors, it's complain and whine and basically just list all these BS reasons why I can't write. Woe is me kind of thing. And I'm just like, you know what, Sydney, enough of the BS. Like, cut the crap. The only person getting in your way is you. Okay, Sydney, look at me when I'm talking to you. The only person getting in my own way is me. You know, nobody else is telling me not to write. Like, literally everybody who I know who knows me and that knows that I write is like cheering me on to write. And I have enough free time to write, but I'm just not using it. And like, yeah, there's other things going on, whatever, that's fine. But when I do sit down to write, I just like complain. I open up the computer, I look at my notes or whatever, and I'm just like, oh, woe is me, I can't write, I'm stressed out. And so what I'm going to try to do now, okay, is set a timer. I'll do an hour. Let's luxuriate in this little writing session that we're about to do. I'm going to set it for an hour. That'll bring us right up to 6 o'clock. And I'm just going to work, you know. I'm going to drink my peanut butter milkshake. I'm going to drink my water. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to just get my story done. I think the other thing that makes it hard to like approach my writing sometimes is that I just kind of, especially when I'm just getting into a story, it's like I don't know where to start. And then even when I do find a place to start, it's like, is this what I should be doing? Or I start thinking about other things I could be doing, and it's just like trying to chase too many rabbits at once. So I just need to kind of like be very intentional and be very specific. Okay, this is what I'm going to do in this 1 hour writing session. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do in my 1 hour writing session. I started reworking my outline from the beginning. So my conflict is like, do I continue with the outline or do I just open up the manuscript and start writing? You know, and so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just continue with my paragraph outline. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing. Let's get to work. 8:17 p.m. and it's quite chilly in here. I cannot get the radiator to turn on. Like there's a thermostat, but like adjusting it does absolutely nothing for the temperature in here. So I've got this blanket over my lap. That aside, I just figured I'd update you on like my little like no BS, get some stuff done a little writing session. Now I'd be lying and I would not be myself if I didn't admit that I didn't get distracted for like 20 minutes of that 1 hour. But I did come back to it afterwards. But yeah, once my hour was up, I kept going and I probably sat there for like another, I don't even know, like 45 minutes or something before I decided to come into the second bedroom to get a change of scenery and sit on the day bed in here. I basically mapped out the first handful of chapters before she leaves home basically, and then that's when I got distracted. But I feel good. I did my paragraph outline. I moved around some chapters. I kind of figured out the order of things, just a way that the story would unfold a bit better. So there's that. Yeah, I'm telling you, like this Airbnb, like the way they've decorated this house, it's giving me like serious inspiration for my future office or even just my future house. I still haven't eaten the ice cream milkshake. Like that held me over for like the last few hours. For tomorrow, I've set an alarm for 7 a.m. and checkout time is 11 a.m. So that gives me 4 hours to like get out of bed and do the things that I want to do before I have to leave. And that includes doing another yoga session, eating breakfast, like getting ready. And I do want to try to get in one more writing session. This has definitely like so far been definitely well needed. The next time it might be good to do like a 3 or 4 day thing, just because I feel like it takes me a couple of days to like get out of my typical headspace and get into like a headspace where I'd actually be able to like focus on writing and focus on why I came here. Because I came here and I just basically was up to my old antics, like wasting time on the internet and that kind of thing for more time than I wanted to spend. But you know, I think if I had a couple of days to like get settled and get into the mindset, then it would be a bit more fruitful of a writing retreat. But yeah, I've also just like, as a side note, really enjoyed the piano being here. Like that's like a really nice piano. Like I don't know anything about pianos. I don't even know how to play the piano, but like that's a really nice sounding piano where like I'm basically just playing like musical gibberish and it sounds like amazing because the quality of the piano is so good. But there's like a music book there that has Broadway songs and like I don't know how to read sheet music for a piano. Like I haven't read sheet music since high school and I've completely forgotten almost everything. And so like I spent like an hour or two when I came home from the art museum today, like just looking at, trying to figure out, like, remember all the notes and like figuring out which key was which note, and then I learned how to play the basic melody of Edelweiss, and that was like really satisfying. And it makes me like, I have a keyboard at home and I really want to like study up more on that, because I definitely want to learn how to play an instrument again. Anyway, I think I'm just gonna like chill for the rest of the evening. If I end up doing a little bit more writing, then great, but I don't think I'm gonna force it at this point. I finished watching Baking Impossible, so unfortunately I can't watch that. It's thundering. While we wait for the next thunder, the next boom of thunder, I'm watching Love is Blind. I've never watched this show before, so this is the very first episode of the first season. And I'm like, how did I not watch this show sooner? Like, I love The Circle, but I've just been hearing people talk about it lately, and I'm like, well, I should just check it out. Yeah, this is the first thunder I've heard probably since last year. Oh, I think I hear rain. Woo! Did you see that lightning? That scared the crap out of me. It was like purple. It blinded me. Wow. It kind of feels like blasphemous that I'm not writing right now.
This is my first time kissing a white man. I have large...
Boy, okay, so it's like 10:30 now and I have to check out within the next half hour, so unfortunately that means it's the end of my little writing retreat and therefore the end of this writing vlog. Oh, wow. Okay, so I guess just a little recap. First of all, I definitely had high expectations in terms of what I could accomplish, like reasonably speaking, especially since I was just diving into this project, like right here during a writing retreat. Check your expectations at the door. Like definitely set intentions about what I hope to accomplish in future writing sprints, like at the beginning. Second of all, I would definitely come back to this Airbnb because it's absolutely gorgeous. I cannot get over the design. I love that there was a piano. I didn't even know that there was a piano, but that was just a really lovely way to stoke other forms of creativity in me. I also absolutely love going to the art museum. That was just a cool way, again, to like sort of fill the creative well while I was here, look at other forms of art. So what I was just working on now is I basically opened up my manuscript of Storm Cloud and copied and pasted a couple of the first couple scenes from old drafts and just started looking at my outline and seeing how it was those scenes were changing and then just making those tweaks there in the manuscript. Just as I was getting into it, I have to leave, but I feel good about what I did here. I definitely learned my lessons to take into future writing retreats, but also just like, it was absolutely exactly what I needed, like being able to step away from my normal life and just be independent and creative in my own way, even if for a couple of days. I would absolutely do this again. I would absolutely recommend it to you if you can do it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and coming along with me on my little writing retreat. I had a wonderful time and I will see you in the next video. Toodaloo!